Hey everyone, it's Teacher Mike here, and if you don't know me, I'm the teacher and founder at ExpressPrep.ca, where we help immigrants just like you become a resident by getting an awesome CellPIP score and improving your English. Today, we are going to teach you how to take notes for Part 5. Part 6 we can be another video, but a lot of students ask me about Part 5 of CellPIP, and this is the best way to take notes on Part 5. And what we're going to learn here today, you can actually also use for Part 6 in a slightly different way. But the most important part, where you really need to take notes on the CellPIP listening test, is Part 5, and that's what we're going to cover today. So let's get started right away. What you are most likely going to see on the CellPIP listening is that from parts 1, 2, 3, and 4, you are probably not going to have to take notes. The way I teach my students is that we learn special techniques, of course, and the correct ways to remember everything we are listening so that when we go through parts 1, 2, 3, 4, we don't really have to take notes. Now, it is quite common that, especially here, parts 1, 2, 3, it's pretty easy to not take notes. When we get to 4, students start getting a little bit more anxious, and it's okay to maybe start taking notes at part 4. But in general, what I'm going to teach you today is going to work best if you are able to learn the right techniques and do very well in parts 1, 2, 3, 4. And when we come down to part 5 and 6, that's where taking notes is the most important. So very quickly, let's just remember how does task 5 work so that you can understand how you take notes on it. Task 5, you are always going to see a video, right? So if we have a look at the CellPIP screen, you have a video, and on that video, you are always going to have 3 people. And the good news is that it's always going to be the same. You always have a video with 3 people every single time. If that is true, then the CellPIP test is going to do a few things for you. The first thing that the CellPIP test will do is that in some tests, the CellPIP test will tell you the names of each person. So right at the beginning of the video, the CellPIP test is going to say, well, this is John, this is Sarah, and this is Peter. If the CellPIP test does this is good news for you, because now you know that the questions that the CellPIP test is going to ask you later are based on the name. So the questions that you are going to see after you do task 5 here, after you listen, are going to be, what did Peter agree with? Or what did Sarah disagree? Why was Sarah upset? You're going to see those types of questions. But in another situation, the CellPIP test, you're going to have your video, you're going to have your 3 people there, and there is a chance that the CellPIP test doesn't tell you any names. So the CellPIP test, if they don't tell you any names when the video starts, they are still going to want to ask you questions about each person. So how do they do it? They're going to use their characteristics. So they're going to say, for example, if one of them is wearing a hat, the guy with the hat. If one of them is a woman, they're going to say, the woman believes or the woman agrees that. If one of them is wearing a shirt or a dress, so that's how the CellPIP test is going to identify who they're going to ask questions. Now that you understand this, let's understand the style of listening 5. Every time you are listening at listening 5, you are going to be listening to 3 people, as I just said, and those 3 people are usually going to be talking about a certain project or about a certain topic at work or something that involves work that they have to solve or that they have to find a solution to. So it's usually, again, it's not always, but most of the times, it's something that is solution oriented. So I'm looking for a solution to some type of question or situation. It doesn't need to be every time. There are some other tests where it's not necessarily a solution, it's more of they're having a problem and they're trying to go through the problem. But in most situations, it's like, we have a party in our office. How many people are we going to invite? Are we going to have food? They're trying to solve for the party. Or, maybe they have to train new employees and they have to decide who's going to train them, how long for. This is what's most likely going to happen. If you understand that this is what's most likely going to happen, your first goal in the CellPIP listening 5 is to listen for the problem or listen for the situation that makes this listening so important. So the first step, so step number 1, as soon as you start the listening on task 5, you're going to listen for the problem or situation that is causing that conversation to happen. I'll give you a good example. In one of the CellPIP tests that you may do, you're going to find that there are 3 people and they are having a discussion about a conversation group that they have that is growing too quickly. And they have to decide what to do. Do we need a new room, or are we going to start taking people in wait lists, right? You may even have done this test before. So that situation, what is the problem or situation that is causing them to have that conversation? It's because the group is growing too quickly. If you understand that, you usually have one question right already, because the CellPIP test loves to ask about this. They love to ask you, usually in question 1 or 2, which is, what was the problem or situation that caused this in task number 5? After that, now the most important part begins, because after they start the conversation, they are going to try to work through that problem or situation. And this is where we need to learn to take notes very well. So the way I teach my students to take note, which is very easy, and you guys are going to learn right now, is on the day of the CellPIP test, you're going to have a piece of paper and a pencil, which they are going to provide. So all you gotta do in that piece of paper and pencil is you're going to create a small table like this. On the top of the table, you are going to write their names or their characteristics, right? Remember, if the CellPIP doesn't give you names, they're gonna give you characteristics. On that situation, of course, the first rule of this is that you never write something big. If the name is John, you're just gonna write J. If it's Sarah, you're gonna write S. Okay, Mike, what if they give me John and Jason? Okay, sure, fine. Then we have John and Jason, right? You know who you're talking about here. And this is important because you are going to take notes here, here, and here to know what each person said, believed, or how they felt. So this is a super important detail. You don't have to take notes of everything, but you do have to take notes on how people feel. You have to take notes on the things that they say that are important. You have to take notes on the things that they decided, on the things that they said that sound important. And very important, one of the things I always teach you guys, always take notes on choices and always take notes on feelings. So every time you listen to Jason, Sarah, or Josh make a choice, select something, you write that down. Every time you listen to them saying something on how they feel, you write that down. And here's a trick I want to teach you guys. When you're taking notes here, you're going to listen to them talking about a number of different topics. So for example, if they're talking about, let's say they're buying a new car, okay, just to make it easy for you guys. They're buying a new car. Well, maybe the first thing they're going to talk about is price. So what you have to understand is that their conversation is going to follow a certain order, right? So first, they're going to talk about the price. On your first here part, you're going to take notes about the price. So for example, Jason prefers an SUV, but Sarah thinks that the SUV is too expensive and she doesn't agree. So do you see what we're doing here? So I'm taking notes of Jason's choice and I'm taking note of Sarah's opinion. And why does she believe that? So this is how you're going to take notes on task 5. You're going to follow the order of the conversation. And the best way to take notes is, first of all, you never write full sentences or full words. You always write short. Instead of the word maintenance, you're going to write something that will help you remember. So the word maintenance, you're going to write maybe MTN. You're going to find a way to write that word in a very short way, very small form. Another way that you are going to solve this is that every time you're writing for feelings, remember, feelings are super important. Is the person positive or negative? Is she sad, anxious? I always like to use happy, sad, or normal face. The reason why I use those faces is because normal means the person doesn't have any important opinion about a topic. Happy means I agree, or I'm happy, I'm excited. Sad means I disagree, I'm not happy, I'm not excited, I don't want. So this helps me remember how each person feels about a certain thing. That usually is pretty helpful. When I am taking notes about numbers and figures, I usually like to use money sign. So 1 means cheap and 3 means expensive. This is the same way which you will find on Google, right? When you Google a restaurant or something, that's how it shows up. I don't need to know the in between. It's either cheap or expensive, right? I don't need to know the middle. And I always like to use a mathematical sign. So if I'm talking about equal, smaller, or bigger, I will try to use those signs to help me, right? So for example, somebody said that they need a larger room. Instead of writing larger room, I'm gonna do large sign, room, right? So that helps me remember. And then the last thing, of course, remember I told you guys about choices. Every time I listen to a choice, I circle. For example, one of them said that they want an SUV. The other said that they want a minivan. Okay, what was the final choice? The choice was the minivan. So I'm gonna look at the word minivan that I wrote and I'm gonna circle it. So this way I know that this is the choice they made. At the end of the listening, the questions, I'm gonna look at my notes and I'm gonna have a lot of the questions there. I'm gonna have the choices. I'm gonna have the feelings. I'm gonna have the way a person reacted to something. And this is very, very helpful for task number 5. So these are the 5 things I do to take notes. Number 1, very short words. I shorten the words. Number 2, I take notes of feelings and I like to use emoji words for this, right? Happy, sad, or normal face. Number 3, money signs for money, amounts of money. 4, mathematical signs such as equal, larger, smaller. You can also use the mathematical sign for approximately. And for choices, I always circle the choice. And remember, I always do this inside my table where I have the names and I know what each person is saying. In most of the cases, if I do this really well, I will be able to get an awesome score. But now, do not forget, it is absolutely useless for you to watch all of my YouTube videos and you don't get real practice. So I'm gonna give you two very quick invitations here on this video. In the description, you're gonna find two important links. Number one, you're gonna find my link to our test simulator where you can practice a bunch of CellPIP tests that we created with our team, and they are amazing tests. They're gonna help you out and you are going to get an awesome score if you practice those tests. You have a free trial under here, 7 days free trial. The second thing is, if you want my help, my personal help to help you get your score, go here as well, talk to one of our student advisors. We're gonna help you get your CellPIP score. All right, so those are the important things I have to tell you today. Now you know how to take notes on listening, and you also have two things you can do to improve today. Number one, you can take your practice test on our test simulator and start practicing. Number two, you can talk to one of our student advisors. That's it for today. Tell me in the comments what is the hardest part for you on CellPIP listening, and tell me in the comments if you want me to do another video just for part number 6.